Oh, yes. My close friends were Barbara Winfrey, Betty Webb, Bessie Tolman. I didn't have a lot of friends. We didn't have a lot of close friends. My father was so strict with me, it was a shame. He came, he said, B, I never want to catch you standing on the corner. And I was coming from my aunt's house in the 1000 block of Queen Street and got up to Fed Street. And someone called my name or something, and I stopped. And my father came around the corner in his car, and there I was. And all he did was said, Beatrice. And I got in that car, and he said, what did I tell you? And I tried to explain to him what had happened. But he was real strict with me. I mean, even in high school, things I couldn't do. It was a while before I could go to a football game. And John would tell, if John were here now, he would tell you how strict my father was. It's the one that I ever had a husband, a boyfriend, because he was really strict with me.
Why do you think he was so strict?
I guess he thought about his own life. Maybe he was a devil. Maybe, you know. But having the ears pierced, couldn't do that. He wouldn't allow me to do that. And all my friends had that. I still don't have them pierced. He didn't want me to have it done. Having my hair cut. My sisters, they went and had their hair cut anyway and did whatever they wanted to do. He was just very strict with me. My mother was very lenient when she came back to Alexandria. I went to live with her after I came out of school. No reason, just that I started going out there on weekends. Then eventually, I just went and started staying with her. But she was a lot lenient with me. When I was 17 years old, I went to Morgan College to represent our church for our youth fellowship. And that was a week, and that was really a treat for me because I had never been on a train. That was really nice. Being involved with different choirs in the city and like to sing. I was a member of the interdenominational mixed choir, and that was after we finished school. Joseph Lucas formed that choir. And I was with the gospel choir from our church, and the junior choir went all the way through the different ranks with choirs in our church. I've been going all around the bush, but I was trying to go step by step. I haven't been nowhere. Right here. After school, I married John, and we were married for 64 years before he died, and he had that COVID-19. The Spanish, when my grandmother died, she had the Spanish flu, and that was in 1918 that she died. They didn't know anything about that at that time. I imagine they didn't have no cure for it or nothing. She stayed sick a long time, and when that time they put her in, quarantined her. And but now it's a little bit different. When COVID-19 came along, they were a little bit better. But that was 100 and some years ago that virus came out. And after my mother died in 1918, 2 years later, Irvin, her husband, died. So Mama and my Aunt Verma, you know, as I told you, they were raised by their aunts and uncles. I had an aunt, my mother's aunt, little short lady. Her name was Jim. Her name was Mary Jane, but we called her Jim. My mother-in-law and a girlfriend's mother told me that Jim walked my mother and my aunt from 600 block South Washington Street to 900 block of Whiff Street to school twice a day. In the mornings and in the evenings, she would come up after and walk them back home. Very strict, very strict. Can you imagine that? So Mom and them were really they didn't have much outgoing when they were coming up either. But it was good. In the summer, we played baseball, like I say, with the church leagues. We went to Bible schools from one church to the other. We went to Camp Tapawingo, and well, I was a member of Girl Scouts and the Brownies. We had all type of activities, and Bible school was nice because we got a chance. We went to other churches and we were meeting other kids. Camp was nice too. We had day camp, and we also had we went away for about a week.
And was it still in Virginia?
Everything was in Virginia. I didn't move anywhere. I was born and raised here, and right out there in Color Rosemont. We had a stoop. It's a cement stoop. My grandmother and them had 3 big trees in front of the house. And it was a stoop that set, and you could sit on it. It was nothing but cement. And that, they just moved that, I believe, when they went to tear down these houses. They just tore those houses down. But they stayed there. And that's what we used to sit on. And then in the summer, my grandfather and the men on that block would bring their chairs, and they would all sit around this area, and they would sit out there and talk or whatever they want, sit under that tree. But in the winter, all those trees or those leaves that fell, we had to sweep up before we went to school. And when you come back home, those darn leaves were down again. So it was always something with those trees.
So since you've lived in Alexandria your whole life, how have you seen it change?
Some things for the good and some things for the bad. They're not that good. When we were coming up, you stayed in your place. We knew what to do and where to go and where we couldn't go. Now, you can go these places, but some places you still aren't comfortable in these places. Jobs are a little bit better for people, but it's still the same thing with the housing situation. In order for our younger people to get a decent house, they have to go to Maryland. Alexandria still has that thing where they don't want to put you in certain places, or if a black person wanted a house, they would up that price. And if a black person wanted to sell a house, they would put it as low as possible because they don't want you to get anything for it. I asked a realtor some time ago, why was it that every time a house was vacant, you would bring a white person to it? And she informed me that black people didn't have the money. So you learn a lot of stuff, and you get tired of being kicked in the tail all the time about things that you think that is not right. God created all of us, and my blood is running through me like your blood is running through you. And you know, when we were coming up also, we couldn't drink out of a fountain. You had black fountain, you had a black bathroom. You couldn't drink out of a fountain. Same water that you would drink out of. But evidently they felt that we were contaminated. So that has changed now. They don't have no names and things on fountains and bathrooms now. I talk a lot to my great grandkids. I have 14 great grandchildren, and I have 3 grandchildren and 2 children. I have a set of triplets who I cannot tell apart. They're identical, but I can't tell them apart. In fact, they just turned 7 Sunday. The children, my great-grands, are involved in a lot of stuff, and their parents support them. We have always followed our children in whatever activities they were in. We were there. John and I were there. And PTA meetings, we were all involved in that. These kids now are just like we all like sports, so if they're involved in sports, we right there. I just wish I could move around a little better, but I enjoy them and I enjoy talking to them and telling them. In fact, I told my daughter's granddaughter for her prom, I said, honey, my daddy wouldn't let me go out that front door dressed like you dress now. And she looked at me and said, really, Grandma? I said, really, honey? Well, I wouldn't definitely never be able to go out that door looking like that. Beautiful, but no way. You got to have more clothes on. And they all so far are good kids. I have one grandchild that's in VCU, and he's taken up art. The granddaughter that's just coming out of school, I'm not sure exactly what she will be going in for. Another grandchild who is in Upper Marlboro, he wants to take up haircut barbery. And so he has to be transferred to another school. But they all have good grades. And so far, they have not been involved in any type of trouble because there's so much out there. And it takes a strong child and strong parenting to keep kids involved in the good things. And the parents are right there with them. You got to take the kids out. You got to show kids what's going on in the world, the museums and different places. You have to get our kids involved in that stuff and know what's going on in other part of the world.